Hi everyone, Mark Deeks here at Mark Deeks Music. Hopefully we can be heard. Can you hear me? Grand, there we go. Hi everyone, Mark at Mark Deeks Music here, and today's tip on this Facebook page and this fine day is a really common question that people ask. How do I know what key a piece of music is in? I was going to draw a key, but then I can't draw. So we're sticking to pen and paper. Here we go. So keys are like musical languages, and this really isn't the time to start explaining too much about that. I got some content on the website that explains that if you'd like to know. But if you do know a little bit about keys, but you want to take your skills a little bit further and understand how do I look at a piece of music and know what key it's in, then here's a basic guide to the beginnings of that process. It gets a little bit more complicated if the pieces of music are a little bit more complicated, but there are certainly some simple steps that you can take to understand what key a piece of music is in when you look at it. So, first of all, you look at what's called the key signature. So the key signature is the combination of the collection of sharps or flats at the start of every line of piece of music. If you're not sure what they look like, that's a sharp, roughly like that, and that's a flat, roughly like that. And key signatures will have one or the other of these, so there will be a number of sharps or a number of flats, never both. If you can't see either at the beginning of every line of piece of music, then that just means you have no key signature. But essentially what that means is you have a key signature which has no sharps or flats. That's how musicians would describe it. So they work much like any other kind of signature. It's just like a stamp to tell you what to expect in the piece of music. And I compare it to as if you were looking at a collection of brochures or leaflets or tour guides in a tourist information office. And inside, on the front cover of each one, there was a stamp to say, this guide's in Spanish, or this guide's in English, this guide's in German, and you therefore know what to expect inside the guide, because the stamp at the front has told you you're going to see this language, i.e. and in musical terms you're going to see this key, what notes we have. So that's a basic way to understand how a key signature works. So a musician looks at a key signature and knows what series of notes you can expect to be the majority of notes in that piece of music. And it will either be a sharp key, which is one of these, or it'll be a flat key. And never will there be a combination of both. And each key signature to a musician equals either one major key or one minor key. So we don't need to worry for purposes of today as how you know which one's which. How do I know which major or minor key I've got? You need to know a little bit about which key signature is which for that. But this is the process of, if you do know that, a learning of what key is the piece of music in. And so whichever key signature you've got will therefore narrow down what key the piece of music's in to one major or one minor key. These are what are called relative keys because they share the same key signature. All right, so the first stage is the key signature will narrow it down to one major or one minor key. And then the second step is to look at the first note or chord of the piece of music and the last note or chord in the piece of music. If you're not used to looking at chords and working out what they are, then this may be a little bit more advanced. Certainly if there's an individual note or the chord contains a note that you recognize, then this can be a useful stage. And the first note or chord and the last note or chord may well be the same note as you would have looked at here. So for example, if the key signature has 1 sharp, I know that means, because I've seen it a lot of times and it's the law, G major or E minor. Don't worry too much if you don't know that yet, you can learn it. But if you see a key signature of 1 sharp, that means it's G major or E minor. So it's G major or E minor. So if I then look in step 2 at the first note or the last note of the piece of music, it may well be that the first and last notes are Gs, or the first and last notes are E's. And if they are one or the other, then that's a really good indication that you're in either G major, if there are Gs, or E minor, if there are E's. So if they are neither of those things, then there start to be other things that you can look at, and there are other guides and other points that will tend to happen more often if it's the major one, or tend to happen more often if it's the minor one. But I don't want to get too advanced for today, and I can certainly teach you more about this if you'd like me to. But for now, that's a good starting point to looking at pieces of music and finding out, how do I know what key it's in? First of all, I'll look at the key signature, which will narrow it down to 1 major key or 1 minor key, and then look at the first note and the last note and see if those notes are one of the major or minor keys that you found in step 1. If you don't know how to look at key signatures and know which major or minor key is which, then comment below, say, I want to know more about key signatures, and I'll send you a free guide, a free document, which will show you which key signature is which. So it'll say this number of sharps is this key, major key, this number of sharps is this minor key, and so on. I'll send you that for free. All I'll need is your email address. So comment below, say, I want to know more about key signatures, and I'll send you a message which will mean that I can send you a free guide to show you which key signature is which. And that will hopefully help you a bit on the way to being able to look at pieces of music and know what key it's in. If you want to know a bit more about this kind of stuff, and you want to try out Read the Dots, my subscription site where I teach you about all kinds of things about music theory and reading music from very, very basic to very, very complex, then let me know. You can check it out at markdeeksmusic.com/readthedots, and you can get lots of content, access to content that's updated regularly. There's a huge library there already, and you can get access to that content for very little, far, far better value than you would get from any regular one-to-one music lesson. I hope this helps. More videos like this coming soon. Thanks for watching.